to get our hands dirty with projects that are going on in the Discord, whether that's Legal Clinic or Real World Asset Group or many of the others. And what we do is basically provide a forum to showcase a lot of those projects and to talk about not just concepts, but mechanisms and the inner workings of Web3 stuff as they relate to the law and smart contracts, legal engineering, all that fun stuff. And so, for those of you who don't know, all of the agendas for every week, the summaries are posted in the study group chat channel. So you can access all past recordings of sessions and topics there if you're so inclined. And as always, Obeezer is recording the meeting. If anybody's uncomfortable with that, let me know, and then you can sulk about it. Other than that, I think we're just jumping right in here. So, according to our agenda, we have 3 topics today that I wanted to talk about. The first being it was going to be kind of a token talk on very much surrounding a lot of the securities questions around tokens and the jurisdictional questions around securities. So it was kind of going to be like an overview talk. Golden hasn't joined us yet. I know she had some really cool thoughts about that. So I kind of want to wait for her to join if she is going to join. So I think what we can do is we can start with the second topic we had, which was it was a Cali spin up / showcase through Best Apes Legal Aid Clinic incorporation basically on Cali. Best Apes, is that something you are available to do now, or should I start with the token piece first?
Yeah, I can do that now. No worries. Luckily, we went through something like that last night. Justin was there and Piratayo was there.
Yeah. So you'd had a dry run, so to speak, to practice for today?
Kinda, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I wasn't in the driver's seat, but yeah, we'll find out. So I guess I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, please. And I'll as you share your screen, I could kind of go into a little bit of detail about what Cali DAO is and all that.
Great. And if people are interested in the Guild Governance channel, we've shared this document about what the clinic is. So we've finally written down the mission as part of, I guess we're a tier 2 project now, or I don't really know. We have a different server, but in any case, did a budget and all that. So
I think it all applies still. So yeah. The LexDAO Legal Aid Clinic is half funded by Gitcoin and half funded by LexDAO. Is that right?
Well, it should very soon be totally funded by itself, or I mean, like through clients. So
right.
Just the first month or two, it was negative, just a couple $100. So LexDAO is floating that, and then we should have. Well, here we'll just look at the budget real quick. Might as well. That's part of all this. So it assumes that Gitcoin and Cali will be clients and pay $250 a week. Though when we were chatting with Cali last night, it turns out we actually might get more than $250 a week from them, nice. Which is exciting. And then there was LexDAO itself in the call said that perhaps LexDAO could be a client for the Constitution and what have you. But the assumption is that the clinic will always have at least 2 paying clients for it to stay afloat, at least, right?
That's great. Yeah, that's amazing. So for those of you who don't know, the legal clinic primarily lends, basically DAO to DAO legal services. So, we do Best Ape and I just to a certain extent through my, work in study group. We do a lot of like consulting type work, for DAOs. So like they'll come on and they'll say, we want to do, X, Y, Z, and then we'll kind of go through their model and see, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Your bylaws are, kind of screwed up here. Maybe think about these issues, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and not legal advice, but flagging issues and helping clients go through the process and that kind of stuff. Like, for instance, here's a checklist that we went through with Lobby 3, and then we also called in Dev World 8-year-old owned dog food last week for the clinic, but that's something. And then we just had a call with Gitcoin's FDD, and they've got an appeals process, and so we'll be reviewing that and giving them comments here and there, and kind of like an audit, I suppose. And anyways, awesome. Yeah, so the budget real quick to 2K. Oh, that's great. Okay, budget 2K, and then Gitcoin grants is also a place where the clinic receives revenue. So last time it was 600, but we expect 1,000, and those are every quarter. These are kind of minimum amounts, and then based on what the operator is for LexDAO, operator receives 1,000 every month to operate the clinic. And right now I'm the operator, but hopefully when the clinic is a little more built up, other people can take on that role. And then that leaves, so for these numbers we should have make more actually than these numbers, but for these numbers we'll have almost 8K to compensate students if they're not getting pro bono hours through their, yeah,
that's really cool. And supervisors, by the way, guys. So if you're a lawyer and you want to supervise law students doing, legal aid work, this budget's it's for you.
Exactly, and the client's $250 a week is a steal really for these kinds of services.
Oh,
so
yeah, totally.
Yeah, and we're focused
especially
on
with these big DAOs.
For now for these big DAOs, yeah. Though like Gitcoin, for instance, they're the ones that run the grants, so then there'll be more collaboration with them, and so I guess they're kind of $250 a week, but then also some interesting stuff on the back end. But our focus when we get a little bit more up and running will be impact DAOs, and the larger Web3 community is defining these impact DAOs, and then we'll grade them. And impact DAOs that are just starting out will get a higher grade, and impact DAOs that have certain metrics. So we're still sorting that out, but that's down the road. That's one of the reasons, though, that we're offering the idea of legal aid type thing. Yeah.
So why don't we then now switch to Cali, and then we kind of, I can do a quick overview on what Cali is and why are we using Cali. I guess that's the next two things we should do.
Great. Yeah, sure. Let's see. Is there a good write-up about Cali you know about?
There's the Medium. There's a bunch of Medium articles now. So Cali, guys, for those of you who don't know, it's pretty popular now, but it started on LexDAO, and it's basically like a spin-off from LexDAO. And what it is it's a web app essentially that uses wallets. So it's a blockchain-enabled web app. I think, does it run on Poly or does it run on Ethereum? I don't remember.
Oh well, we'll go through that, but it runs on a few.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, so there you go. It's it's compatible on a bunch of blockchains, and what it does is it allows you to spin up, decentralized autonomous operations. So you could do basically using a couple of pre-made legal documents and structures that recognize DAOs or DAO-like corporate governance like structures. They can spin them up for you in like 10 minutes, which is really, really cool. So it's basically like a template DAO builder to give you the skeleton you need to really build out your organization. So it's pretty interesting. And here you can see, right, he's selecting a type of agreement. So there's a Delaware DAO LLC, and then he's selecting his blockchain that he wants the DAO to operate on, and then boom, he's already generated something here. There you go. You've got an operating agreement for a Delaware LLC.
And I didn't even need to get into the blockchain for that, right? So that you can see these documents, and they're also on that GitHub, so you can.
So these documents, the cool thing about them is that they come pre-populated. So not only are they a legal template, but they're a legal template that includes things like, I think if you scroll up a little bit there, you'll see cryptographic units. So under the voting structures of the managing members, the powers and duties, you can actually see there they've included a provision for voting through crypto. Scroll down a little bit more. Yeah, there you go, cryptographic consensus, and then it defines it down there. So it's a well thought out legal template for starting a DAO. that's easily recognizable as a U.S. entity, basically. At least this template is. And so, is this the template you were thinking of using?
Actually, today I don't think we need to sort that out. I was just, as you were speaking, that was what you were mentioning, so I thought I'd just throw it up real quick. One thing that's really interesting about this is that if there's a conflict between the natural language and the smart contract, this I don't know if this is that exact section that says it, but the way these are constructed is that the smart contract wins. So it has. It's the
blockchain always wins, so it's deferring conflicts to whatever the state the chain is in.
Yeah, and if there's something that like this says the relationship between parties is one way, and then the actual Kali app is another way, the Kali app is the what wins out in that conflict.
The tiebreaker, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like 5.2 that has the code deference language.
Thank you, code deference. Yeah, code deference. There you go.
Yeah, the decisions by members, it's basically the problem that's being solved here, right? Is that I don't know, based off of what I saw last night, is that you can spin up a DAO, but it may not have a legal entity around it. Kali kind of solves that by doing both, so you could both manage your DAO and have the limited liability stuff, which I think is something that's pretty unique, and I don't think there's any other products out there that do that.
Exactly. So you get the on-chain stuff and the legal stuff rolled into one, which is my favorite kind of web app or software product right now. OpenLaw does this to a great degree as well. And you guys have heard me spiel on about OpenLaw enough, I think.
Yeah, and then LexPunk documents are also I don't know if they're officially integrated or you have to choose, but our discussion last night was about whether those would be kind of the default, what have you. So that's a whole nother crypto lawyer community that contributes quite a bit to OpenLaw, and it's quite a bit of overlap. Some of the Leaf members are LexPunk members as well, so that's supporting this initiative also. I'm going to start from the basics. So I don't even have a MetaMask on this user, so
nice.
I'm gonna
walk us through it.
Okay, so here's MetaMask.
MetaMask, anybody who doesn't know, it's a browser extension that allows you to have a bunch of different wallets for a bunch of different blockchains all in one place. It's like the number one wallet app, basically, in all of crypto. And for good reason. It works very well.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time. Yeah.
Since like 2013, I think. Maybe 2015.
Great. So now it's added. There you go. Get started. So now create a wallet. I agree.
This is a test account, right? So you don't mind if you see your recovery phrase?
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm not.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So,
but
you
can remind me later.
Yeah, that's fine. There you go.
I'm still not going to use this one, but anyway, yeah, you can do a remind me later. And then, so we're going to do the Rinkeby. So see this right here, it says show hide test networks. Click on that.
So this is something if you're trying to test a product that or a smart contract that you've developed, but you don't want to pay money to like put it on a blockchain, or there's no reason to. You can use Rinkeby testnet. Rinkeby is basically a side chain of Ethereum. It works very similarly, except it runs in your browser, I believe. And you can do anything you can do on Ethereum right on Rinkeby, to see how much gas the transaction is going to cost, or to test the actual viability of your contract to see make sure if it's working properly.
And actually, Rinkeby is It's not like that JavaScript VM you're using for the one-on-one.
Right.
So now the next step is we still don't have any ETH, so we can't do anything. But unlike Ethereum, there are these things called faucets. Yeah. We faucet, and then they just hand out free money.
He
basically
goes here to get fake Ethereum, basically, to run the transactions. It's a free, like, it's a weird. It's kind of a weird. I don't know why testnets still do this. They should just, they should just auto-populate all any new testnet wallets with like ETH or whatever. But it's whatever. Really cute little matrix thing. Who's that guy supposed to be?
I don't know. Still don't have it.
Let's hope it's one of the good days.
Yeah. Oh, we can click on the transaction.
So you go to a faucet to get. Yeah, there you go. Indexing.
Oh, what does it say here? Success. See that switch there? So if we look here.
Beautiful.
We got 0.1 ETH. So yeah, I guess if this worked at normal ETH, ETH wouldn't be worth as much. But there you go. So that's now we've got ETH that we can play around with on a network that we can do Etherscan with. So just like you.
Yeah. So just like normal Ethereum, right, has Etherscan where you can check all transactions, where they come from, who they're going to, when they happened, their status, the transaction hash, all of those details, obviously, you can see on the screen right now. Those are all available with the testnet. And so it's functionally identical to Ethereum, with the only difference being that it's play money. So that's why it's called a testnet.
Including OpenSea, so you can actually put NFTs and all that. So So the main thing is though it's free as in water, so you can't sell or no one will buy your Rinkeby ETH for anything. Okay, so now we've got this and we're ready to go. We can get started. So let's connect our wallet.
So the reason we're doing this, guys, is so that you can get an idea of like, this is what a DAO spin up software looks like, and these are the kinds of things the kinds of tools that are available to you right now to think about when you're doing things like corporate governance within a DAO structure.
And just real quick, I refreshed Kali because I hadn't installed the add-on yet, the extension yet. And so I had to refresh it. So then it saw MetaMask. Otherwise, it only gave me that wallet connect option if you saw that QR code that popped up. So here we go. Here's the MetaMask.
It's your 0.1 ETH.
Yeah. Next. And we're connected. And you can see that Kali is a fairly smart program, so it knows that we're on Rinkeby, and we're good to go. So you saw earlier I did that drafting, and that's how you can explore the different agreements you want to use. And so you don't even have to do this process to explore the natural law stuff. And then, so here are the different choices that right now exist on Kali DAO: Ethereum, Arbitrum, Polygon, and Rinkeby.
So most people, we've explained Rinkeby, and most people know what Ethereum and Poly are, I would assume, because Polygon is just a better, faster Ethereum at this point. But what is Arbitrum for those of you who don't know?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, real quick, I'll mention Polygon. An important difference is Polygon. The gas fees are a lot lower, but it's layer 2. So if you want to put that into your bank account, you're gonna have to bridge over to Ethereum, and that'll cost some money. a good amount of money too. And then when you put it in Ethereum, then you can put it in Coinbase or something similar, and then put it in your bank account. So if it's on Ethereum, the transactions on Ethereum are more expensive, but then you also are right next to the bank account. Whereas layer 2, you're a little farther away from the bank account, but as you transact. So like if you're doing Uniswap or that kind of thing, Polygon's good, and then take a big chunk and put it into Ethereum and then put it into your normal bank account.
It's good for like intra-transactional stuff, like between various accounts that are bounded on an overall Ether.
Yeah.
So it's good for corporations like that transact internally, basically.
Yeah, and actually, I don't have a great understanding of Arbitrum. I've only just started to use it with Callie, and there's something called Idea Market. So if you've got a good explanation of it, but I'll actually have to kind of do a quick review right now.
Yeah, does anyone actually know, want to give a quick rundown of Arbitrum? Because my knowledge also is cursory at best.
Yeah, I can tell a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. I just turned you up a little bit, so maybe turn up your mic.
Yeah, we use Arbitrum 1 for our Kali one of DAO, of course DAO, and generally voting is about 30-40 cents. Proposal is about $1. It can go higher if you do complicated multi-entry proposals, multiple lines and long descriptions. The gas fee does depend on the amount of data you're submitting, but in general, much lower than mainnet. And except for that last week when there was this NFT fiasco with the highest spike machine, almost normal fees.
So I'm losing you here. Your internet's breaking up a little.
Yes. Okay, can you not hear me?
Yeah, so why don't you, so you said the fees are low, obviously, so it's a smart contract platform. But what capabilities does it have that you don't get from, let's say,
got it. It's Ethereum. It's an EVM compatible layer 2 chain. And the main difference is that it uses optimistic rollups. So every transaction on Arbitrum is secured on Ethereum. They achieve the lower fees by batching a bunch of transactions that are submitted to Arbitrum, batching them together, and submitting a proof, like the final result of these transactions to Ethereum.
So it's a roll-up. So the way that works.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's really cool. So you basically, a bunch of people use Arbitrum, and then all of their transactions and decisions are recorded, obviously on Arbitrum, and then they're when the next sort of Ethereum when that reaches mass, it gets all rolled into one Ethereum transaction, and then everybody pays a piece of the cost and gas.
That's right. It's very similar to Polygon in the way it uses validators, right. But the big difference with Polygon is that regularly all these batches are secured in Ethereum. With Polygon, you're completely depending on their validators.
Right.
Except for, with some exceptions with Plasma, but in general, Polygon doesn't secure in Ethereum.
Okay, so that's really good to know. So Polygon uses Polygon validators, and Arbitrum uses ETH validators.
That's right. We can go into technicalities. There's something called Plasma for Polygon that secures some transactions payments on Ethereum, but generally it doesn't.
Right. Why don't you just link a link to Arbitrum in the study group chat, so people who are more interested can go in there. So we pick our. Sure. Yeah, and thanks for piping up and letting us know, because I had no idea even that it was that it published straight to Ethereum. I thought it was just an L2 the same way Poly was.
Yeah, Optimism is the other big competitor that is just went live on mainnet, but it's competing with Arbitrum with slightly different algorithms, but very similar security properties.
Nice. Okay, so we're doing it Rinkeby testnet.
Great. And actually, one question I have is for bridging from Arbitrum to mainnet compared to Polygon. Since Arbitrum still rates the mainnet, are the bridge fees lower than Polygon? Have you looked into that?
They're similar. I mean, they're very competitive. I mean, I would expect as optimism coming in and ZK rollups coming up, there's going to be more competition, and the merge that is supposed to happen any week now is going to give them a bunch more bandwidth. So the fee should drop at least 10x from all that I'm seeing. Technically, Ethereum is going to allow, it's actually optimizing for L2 transactions. They changed their roadmap to just do that, focus on helping L2 process faster and secure faster. So the fee should drop by a factor again the next couple hours.
Great. Yeah, factor 10. That's a big deal. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so here we go. Rink B. So name it what we'll do clinic test. And then all right. So when we went through it last night, we chose social. And a big difference, though, is between social and these other options is the transferability of the NFT token. So, Andre, do you remember in this, we...
right. Soulbound. We talked about, so and actually, Tertius just linked a really good article on this topic. So, what a soulbound token is, it's for all intents and purposes, it's got all the same properties of tokens, or a programmable token, whether it's an NFT or a fungible one, but it's stuck on a single wallet. So it's non-transferable, so that to get out of the realm of the Howey test and it being labeled as security, it doesn't let you sell off from one wallet, because the thought is that, okay, well, if you make something transferable, even if it's just a membership NFT, if down the road the membership becomes worth more money, then even if you set out to make something that wasn't a security to begin with, it could later on fall into that trap if like a secondary market develops for that thing. Hey Chris, your mic's open, by the way, so I'm just hearing you like giggle like a schoolgirl. I don't know if that's intentional. Thanks. So anyway, so one of the main criteria, obviously, for something like the Legal Aid Clinic is that obviously we don't want a secondary market for tokens, because a token, given that the things it's going to represent, is going to be something you can't transfer anyway, right? It's going to be an identity that's tied to somebody working with or at the Legal Aid Clinic, and so one of those properties that the token's going to have is going to be soulbound.
Yeah. And we discussed that last night, actually, with what Callie would like us to, the help they'd like. But this is still, so I feel like, oh, well, here we go. Let's try nonprofit.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that seems like way more. Because the social, again, so these are really cool templates, by the way. Why don't you show them what custom looks like, what the custom interface looks like. Scroll down to the bottom there. Custom button, yeah. Boom. So, as you can see here, like if you have more of a concrete idea of what you want your your DAO to look like, you can just hit next. I think it'll like, it just takes you through all of the various considerations, right? All of the same things that are going to go into your governance templates. You'll have a chance to plug and play in those features that you want. But for now, I think we're going to go with the nonprofit template, because I think that's pretty much what we're looking for anyway.
So yeah, voting 3 days, quorum 20%. Supermajority is for proposals. So I believe we didn't actually go through it last night, but I believe this is if, say, we decide we want to have the shares transferable, then we would need a supermajority majority. So like whatever we do here, we can actually, or most of the stuff we do here, we can.
Yeah, change. Obviously this is all customizable, but this just gives you the initial, set you've got to work with. So if your supermajority is 60%, then on whatever voting platform you use, any proposal for an action by the DAO, if it gets 60% of votes, it's automatically approved. And we should note that this works obviously best for one-to-one voting voting proposals. So like every member gets one share basically.
And then not yet. We don't have a legal entity yet. But we can do this.
Yeah, why not?
And then do this one.
Yeah, that's the best one. So again, guys, if you want more legal detail on what each of these corporate structures is, I think we did a really good analysis of that in one of the past weeks. I think it was might have been week 3 or so. And also today, Golden told me she couldn't make it, but I mean, we're going to look at some jurisdictional stuff that might help you make decisions about where to take certain corporate actions.
And then right here, luckily, what we did anyway, to get approval from LexDAO Main, it looks like we can use that to help us out.
Perfect.
So here we go.
Nice. And there you go. So now, once you go deploy your DAO, this is MetaMask confirming that you're going to use this wallet to pay for the smart contract fee to publish this on the Ring P testnet. Again, obviously this is all free, but at this point on a real blockchain, you would be paying some transactional fee to get it published. And I showed you guys what something going up on a blockchain actually looks like.
Yeah, and something you can do too that well, I guess on Ring P you can't, but in something like this, you don't have to do it quickly, right? So you'd probably want to save some gas. So if you click on that edit, you can lower the gas to if you don't want to get into the weeds, there are just 3 options, and you can choose the slowest option. So the default is the middle option.
Slow, medium, and fast.
Yeah. So if you want to save some gas and stuff,
yeah,
that's a little trick.
Yeah, because the way Ethereum works is the more you pay, obviously the faster your transaction gets processed on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah, there's a baseline amount of gas that you have to pay, and then whatever on top is to put it in priority. So if you're wanting to buy the new Bored Ape NFT, I mean that was 130 million got wasted because people were trying to get priority. So that's when gas prices go up. There's a big gas war. That's often because people are trying to get in front of the line, but when it's normal, or you don't really care, something like this, you can have the gas fee low and just wait. All right, so here we are. So we've got it. And then...
So there you go. So this, I mean, just, it's got a ton of features I didn't even know about, to be honest with you. The services tab is new, I think.
Yeah. So let's connect our account. Here we go. Yeah. So dashboard. Tribute's in there because it's that whatever.
So there's your DAO dashboard. So all of these things you can use to manage your DAO on chain. So I mean that's pretty damn cool. Why don't you show them what the rules looks like? So the governance settings. Rules. There it is. Right there. Oh, right there. Yeah, there you go. So look at that. So you can at any time make any of these a proposal to change how your internal governance happens. And I mean that's pretty powerful because it lets you do all this stuff right on the chain, as opposed to having it on a contract that then you vote on through Snapshot and then gets amended by somebody, right?
Yeah, and important concepts like share transferability that can affect SEC. You can pause or unpause that. So it's great that you can kind of, as you understand your business more, change things up. And then this one's really interesting, NFTs. You can send NFTs.
so you can track your membership. So you would what you would do there is you would mint an NFT, or a group, a collection or whatever, for your members, and then you would use this interface to transfer them through proposals.
Yeah, so I suppose this is something I should play around with, but I was only just introduced to it introduced yesterday, so I won't really be a good guide at this point. So I suppose, yeah.
So when do you want to officially put the Legal Aid Clinic on here? And by the way, with if you go down to services again, for those of you who don't know, Twali, which I actually just recently was invited into, I'll let you guys know how that goes. They're basically a consulting firm for DAOs, which is really cool. So they've got, as part of that, they've got legal, they've got marketing, they've got project managers and devs and all kinds of people. And it's basically just a place for headhunting for your DAO. So if you click on it, I'm sure it'll take you. I'm curious to see what it does there. Oh, so there you go, perfect. So it takes you to their splash page, which looks like some 1990s like ridiculous thing, and then you email this email here. I already told them they got to work on this. They're just onboarding experts right now. I don't think their services are live quite yet, or if they are, they're very limited. But these are the kinds of things that you can hope to have in the future, right? It's like dashboards like this where you can access third-party services to get stuff done right within your DAO. I mean, the concept itself is pretty exciting. It's pretty cool.
And then look at this. Hey, the clinic right here.
There you go. And then I bet you that U.S. Lawyers just gives you a link to the LexDAO registry.
Oh.
Oh no, it's somebody's law firm.
Yeah.
Nice. I wonder whose law firm this is.
Oh, this is, we discussed this a bit yesterday. So these services are comparable. So the LexDAO Clinic will be doing EIN. So that's what this consult is about, is getting papers filed.
This is to get your off-chain, exactly. So once you've incorporated your DAO on-chain, you would then go to consult a lawyer if you want to actually have a legal entity. For I mean, a billion different reasons, right? You would go do that through this consulting service, because they you pay them $500 and then they do all of the filing. They pay you all the filing fees, and then they base all of the contracts, the bylaws and stuff that your company's going to end up using. They'll base that on the initial kind of Kali DAO choices you made at the outset.
And EIN, to open a bank account, we'll need one of these. For instance, that'd be a reason to get it. So the clinic will be doing that with Kelly. Students will learn how to do this work, and then we'll have a supervisor that makes sure the students do it well, and then the students will get some tokens, and we're doing it through D-Work. So if you'd like to join the clinic, either as a student or supervisor, you can learn how to use D-Work, which is like a Kanban Twilio system, but it's connected with blockchain payments. It's also connected with Coordinape, if you know about that product. So this is a way to have very useful, practical experience and work that can make fairly good income. And as a student, you can receive some compensation for learning how to do that. So that's what we were setting up last night, and we'll continue to be setting up. So Andre, as far as your question about when we're going to fully spin up the clinic, I think we'll wait on a few things. Gitcoin, we're finally signing the contract with Gitcoin. Wait till Wednesday to see what the result is, and then continue to work with Kali because they're spinning up something for the clinic to be able to track the clinic helping Kali. So we might just make that that Kali that the clinic uses for everything, since the people who,
Right,
exactly,
right.
yeah.
I think that's the next logical step, because I mean, there's no other product that I know that is this complete with regards to like, you know, a DAO management thing. I think this is great for, especially if, you know, if it's somebody's first DAO.
Hey guys, could I throw in a question?
Anytime.
Yeah, so this is the furthest I've been down the rabbit hole, just to give you an idea. This was great to see it. My question is, if you're a member of the DAO, how do you interact with the DAO like you just set up? Do I need to have a MetaMask wallet and then I'm going through this Kali site? Can you paint that picture just a little bit? How if I'm a member, how I'm interacting with the DAO, like voting? You know, how do I vote?
So if you remember, right? So we would make you a member right here, in this DAO. So you would give us your MetaMask address, and you can have multiple MetaMask addresses. It's easy to just create a brand new account. So anyway, so you just figure out which address you want to give us, right? But it's something that you control, and then you tell it to us. And you can also have ENS, if you know ENS. That's like the dot
Ethereum name
ETH.
service.
Yeah.
It's
Right,
like the dot,
right.
It's like the .com for ETH wallets.
So you can do that. But so for instance, this one is the one I already added. And so do that, submit a proposal, and then you'd be a member. And so right now there's only one member, just myself, right? So when we vote on things, it's just me. And then if you're spinning up your own DAO at the very beginning there, when I had just one address, you would just use this little symbol to add another one. And then we're using just one token, one vote type of system, but you could do 100 or, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
1,000.
this lets you customize whatever you need to
Yeah.
do with regards to like token distribution. And I mean, this would Kali wouldn't be the first place you would go to get membership. Like typically, if somebody's operating a DAO, they're doing, they have a Discord, they have like a Notion page, they have a Twitter, something like that. So like you're gonna get in touch with somebody first. You're gonna become involved with the community, figure out what you need to become a member. Meet those criteria, and then you would go on Kali and be like, hey, remember me? I'm so and so from the Discord, for example. You type that into notes, and then you'd submit that proposal, and then people would probably talk about your proposal, back in whatever channel the thing was first broached, the topic of you becoming a member was first broached, and then people would vote, and you would be approved or denied depending on the DAO's predilection.
But where are those votes actually taking place? Do all the members that are currently members, are they on Kali and they go into Kali and make a vote, or is that in another app, or is that done totally off chain?
I think it's in Kali.
Yeah, Andre, why don't you could share your screen maybe right now and go here to this and see where that goes. I mean, we were actually kind of treading new ground a little bit, but.
Yeah, message me the link. I'm pretty sure it's all in Kali. But
yeah, all on chain in the Kali DAO contract. It's not an off chain like snapshot or anything like that. It's really the real deal. The voting is permanent and it's immutable.
Just send me the.
I just sent it into study group. Yeah. So let's see if that works.
Okay, nice.
And then also, it depends though definitely on each DAO, right? So like we're talking specifically about Kali DAO as an app. But for instance, LexDAO, if you want to join LexDAO, I don't know who was speaking. If you've already joined LexDAO, I didn't see who was speaking. But anyway, if you do want to join LexDAO, then you would go to the Start Here page, and then it explains how to join. But basically, for the LexDAO setup, you'd send $300, and it could be an ETH or USDC or DAI, a few other options, and you send it to a particular address, and then we receive it, and then we send you an NFT. So from whatever address you sent that money, we then send that address an NFT, and then that NFT allows you to access a few channels that are only open to people who hold that NFT. So that's the way that LexDAO does it.
Why don't you go ahead and send me a token? I'll give you this. I have a test wallet as well that I'll put on my
So are you sharing your screen for this? So people can see kind of how it goes?
I'll share it. I'll share it. Ooh, you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So then you would go, obviously, you would go in here, and you would say, whatever, I want to add a new member at the following address. So why don't we do that? Why don't you...
Well, don't you want to submit the proposal, right? And then we'll see if I can see it on my end.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool.
That's what I'm trying to do. So we're in Rinkeby. The problem is I need to make... I don't think this is a Rinkeby wallet. I'm on... Yeah, let's see. I'm on Ethereum mainnet, so for this to actually work, I need to connect Rinkeby. There it is. Boom. Ah.
Oh, you've got an old version of MetaMask, so you're gonna have to manually put it in.
Shit.
So we might have to do this demo at a different time. Getting into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, you can kind of see it when you go to proposals. It says active and unsponsored here. I'm assuming that like you create the proposal and it'll just pop up here. So I mean, I'm assuming that's the way it'll work. I mean, I could try making a proposal, but I don't think it's not going to pop up if I'm not connected, right?
Yeah, and I don't really want you to
It would
risk.
actually let me connect.
Yeah.
It won't even connect. Let me connect. Oh, there we go. I connected, but it's on.
Yeah, so don't.
It's not gonna work.
But the way that you can get to this particular DAO is if you saw there at the end of the URL, so it's app.kali.xyz, but then the URL, there's that long string, the hash, that address. And so that's what determines, yeah, there you go, right there, the DAO that I just spun up. So everyone can visit that right now.
Yeah. So you can see everyone has access to the dashboard, basically. But if you actually want to obviously interact with the DAO, you need to be signed into. You need to be first off on the same, blockchain they're on. And if we actually go to the address here, like we pop this out, it'll take us. Like it'll tell you where the smart contract, the DAO is, where it's based on. So it tells you who made it, tells you what the transaction is, what the tracker is, right? All that good stuff, and it tells you right here, right? You're on Rinkeby testnet. So unless you're on Rinkeby testnet, you're not going to be able to interact with the smart contract. Yeah, I think it's really cool, man. I think this thing has legs, to be honest with you. And docs is another cool section here. So this actually gives you an IPFS link to somewhere you'd be hosting your incorporating documents. Obviously, you haven't put those up there yet, so it's not it's not going to go anywhere. But you can access all of the legal contracts and rules and bylaws all in one place, which is really cool.
Yeah, and as you can see, a lot of that still requires manual legal work, and so that'll be a great opportunity for law students to gain some skills and make a little bit of dough too.
Totally.
To the clinic. So yeah, definitely DM me if you're interested in the clinic. That's another shill for the clinic.
Yeah, we always want to show the clinic here.
But with that, I think that. Yeah.
Any questions so far, guys? What do people think about Kali? Because I mean, we can give them input, right? This is still very early days. Do you like how? I mean, I'm on dark mode. So I could turn that off actually. That's what it actually is supposed to look like. Do you guys like the interface? Do you think it's intuitive? Is it it's clean, etc.? So we can start with that. No opinions? Oh my goodness.
Hello? No, yeah.
Hey.
Hello?
Oh, hi, Luis. How you doing?
Hi. I mean, compared to Aragon, that it's basically the same thing, and which opportunities or what are the advantages of Kali?
So Aragon actually, for those of you who don't know, Aragon also has a DAO spin-up kind of software, very similar to Kali's. I would say that Aragon's is more, Aragon is much more than just a just a DAO spin-up. They're a really big DAO with a bunch of different moving pieces. and they, because of that, size, and this is no knock on them. What they do is actually they do a lot of really cool stuff over there. But because of that size, they're kind of slow moving with regards to like implementations on certain things. Kali is just a standalone web app, so it's a handful of people working on it consistently, and all it does is this. Like all it does is DAO management software and kind of like a one-stop shop kind of thing. So Aragon has the benefit of being like a bigger, more comprehensive thing, and it gives you like access to their ecosystem and all this kind of stuff. But if all you're trying to do is get up and running quickly and efficiently, I think Kali is best for doing something like that.
All right, thank you.
Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
And another good option is
Andrew, I don't know. Is Aragon offering legal compliance, legal entity? I don't think that's the case.
I don't think Aragon does the legal side now. So I think Aragon, well, I guess that's another pro for the Kali thing, is that Kali actually will generate your legal templates for you. I think Aragon just does the smart contract side of things.
I think it would be better if we have the information about the companies that we're incorporating. I mean, for different purposes. Maybe, I mean, I'm on the side that everybody should understand what they're doing, and maybe, for example, if it's for social, maybe you need this type of corporation. Maybe if it's for fundraising, you need this type of corporation. I mean, education for everybody to know actually what they are incorporating. I don't know if I made myself clear.
You're saying a good thing for Kali to implement would be like links and stuff to explain. Okay, because
Yes.
they give you the option of picking like
Yeah.
say, what the hell is a Wyoming
Yes.
LLC? Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
of course. I mean, we have the Wyoming LLC. We have the other types of companies that you can incorporate, but we don't actually. I mean, we know because we're lawyers, but not everybody
Right. I agree.
knows
I
about
totally
this.
agree. And
All right.
and
Thank
Kyle, maybe that's a good idea. As one of the legal aid clinic projects could be, hey, why don't we make a frequently asked questions page for Kali DAO, for people to go on and maybe like a little mini
Yes.
wiki.
Yes, of course, and maybe to incorporate in this links legal design in order for everybody to understand, because because if people just read about these companies, maybe if they don't have the background, maybe they won't understand even though they have the information. So I think that maybe, I don't know if you have heard of legal design, but it's basically to make a contract understandable for everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good input. That's really good input.
Yeah, one of the
So-
frictions here is with the smart contract being the decider. That's really difficult to explain. So it's hard to explain legal information anyway. And then now that we're moving into solidity as a form of legal information, we're kind of, in a sense, making it even more difficult to explain. So one of the hopes with the clinic is we can work on a case study level with clients, right? So certain clients, we work with them in public and we make artifacts as we work with them, and then we can use them as basically, integrate them into Kali or in other areas, just public legal education in general, but have that as kind of a quicker way to do it than the very difficult process of having really complex legal information, especially when this complex legal information is not even written in English anymore or natural language anymore. Having that be very kind of easy to understand and readable, that we can kind of do this quick fix while we're just helping clients anyway, by tracking which clients were good case studies and then just kind of hammering that out as educational materials. So I really enjoyed that in school, the case study method. learned about quite a few complex concepts like franchisement and whatever.
Learn by doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the plan with the clinic.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I'm not trying to explain the unexplainable stuff about smart contracts. I mean, I'm not trying to explain the code. I mean, I'm just trying to explain what is this special type of company, and maybe, but it's just an idea. I mean, I'm just
the legal concepts.
just a legal concept, just to get to know what are you doing, what are you planning to do or incorporate. I mean, it's not that I'm trying to explain to the people the code, because it's unexplainable. I mean, it's difficult to explain. I mean, but I mean, it's more of the side of the companies. I mean, just understanding the basics, the things that in the things that you are doing. I don't know if I made myself clear. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Yeah. Like one, for instance, Justin mentioned something that's, I think, really important basic for companies, where basically you can kick someone out of this DAO for bad behavior or something like that. And so he asked, well, is that in the documents? And I don't know if it actually was in the documents, but the documents say that whatever is in the DAO, whatever is in this basic like board game or video game, that's what the company actually is. So that's unusual, I think, for how law has traditionally been practiced. And so it's important that we explain that, definitely. And so part of that is going to be what you say, which is very clear language, and spend time on that. And another part of it is going to be, say, having a manager make a DAO, or a musician or whatever, make a DAO because they want to put a band together, right? The clinic helps them out, and then we have that as a case study. So if another band comes along and they see this band as a case study, then they watch the videos with that. We have conversations with that band, and that's a way for them to not only kind of see how someone else did it, but also humanize the experience quite a bit. And so, I believe that the way to make this stuff as low friction as possible is a combination of the dashboard that's continually being improved. I think the UI, they've got a new UI coming out. What you mentioned, which is making legal ease more natural language. And then this other concept of actually going through situations with real clients, and then spending the time to turn that into a library where other parties can look at that and go, hey, I'm a band. I'm going to check out what this band's experience was, and like learn through mimicking almost. So hopefully the combination of those and other ideas will help us make this more accessible to everyone. But it's definitely a priority, I believe, for everyone.
At the end of the day, the goal is education, right? So the more accessible
Yeah.
we make everything, the better.
Basically, that's the main thing that I have. It's education for everybody, so we can understand in the same. I mean, we can have the same basis or the same language, so we can just all discuss. It's really important to have the people. I mean, just a face, because sometimes when you're in Web3 and smart contracts and everything about this, it's kind of overwhelming. So yeah, just make this easy for everybody to understand. That's the main idea that I had this whole time. So yeah, basically that's it. And thank you.
It's easy to use, but hard to understand, because you have to come to the table with all of these
Yes.
concepts in your head.
Of course.
Whereas, exactly. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
that's definitely a good thought. So it's 5:00 now. Why don't we just hop right to, unless you want to talk about anything else, Mark?
No, that's good.
No, yeah, cool.
I saw Justin unmuted for a second. Did you have something you want to add, or?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, just because you mentioned the kicking thing last night, as I thought more about it after the call, what feels analogous to is where you have for incorporation documents and bylaws, right? In the Web3 space, we don't really have an equivalent to that. So what's cool about Kali is that it gets you your incorporation documents, but then through the code deference, bylaws are basically the code. And that's the really innovative part of it that melds kind of the reality of Web3 and kind of how DAO governance is working, and a little bit of that corporate governance like hardness that is a language that lawyers are more familiar with, and an area that we know how to deal with, or just lawyers know how to work with. And that's I think is the true innovation of Kali, is that it's not about the DAO governance part comes secondary to creating that legal hardness and that robustness to protect DAO creators from liability, which I think is maybe new and probably distinct on the market.
That's an important topic. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the liability in companies. For example, for traditional companies, we have this liability for the people that are around the corporation, right? But I don't know if we have the same kind of liability for DAOs. Um, this is a topic that I talk about that I talk about with different lawyers, and they have the same opinion. I mean, if we have this company right now, like the Wyoming company, uh, we do I mean, can we have the liability to the administrators? I mean, this is a question that I have. Maybe you can have.
So a government, or any regulator in any jurisdiction is always going to try to find liability where they can if something goes wrong. So like it's not as if unincorporating, working an unincorporated DAO or something like this. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden now, oh, we're home free, we can do whatever we want, because the regulators have nobody to sue or to fine or to jail. That's not the way it works. They're just going to grab whoever they think is in charge, and put the screws to them. And so I don't think a DAO is a DAO is really just a concept. I wouldn't go as far as to say that a DAO is its own legal entity. There are legal entities that are more decentralized than others, right? So there's particular there's particular regulations and ways of formatting your company that will make it more in line with the concept of a decentralized autonomous organization. But at the end of the day, that's not it's not a one size fits all thing. So you saw when we were spinning up the that test on the Kali, you saw that it gives you a bunch of options for different kinds of companies that you need to use as a base to organize your DAO around, right? So ultimately, those companies are going to need to be registered somewhere, right? They're going to need to be tied to some jurisdiction, and depending on that jurisdiction and the jurisdiction's laws, regulations, you're going to get particular liability going to particular people, as the case may be. So I think that's really how liability is addressed in a DAO. It's not so much, okay, well, what does the Discord server say? Who's in charge? No, it's going to be more about the underlying legal entity.
Yes, I understand this part. Maybe this concept that I have, it's different because I practice in civil law. I don't use the same kind of law that you're used to. So I am all the time thinking about, oh, hey, what's a document that we have so we can make liable somebody. So yeah, but I agree. Thank you a lot, Andres.
Yeah, then I'll lose. And if you want, you can just DM me later, and I can explain some of the common law,
Yeah,
corporate law.
sure. Thank you.
And likewise, I would love to learn civil law as well. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen now. Okay, yeah, I hope everybody can see that. Just give me 1 second. Okie doke. So, Golden unfortunately couldn't join us today. she was kind enough to share the documents that she wanted to talk about. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that for her. So her topic that she recommended for today's chat was why don't we look at different jurisdictions and how those jurisdictions think about and treat tokens, and what is a token within the context of that jurisdiction? How functional is the regulations? Are there regulations at all? And things like that. So I think she put this together very quickly, but obviously the hope is to add a lot more jurisdictions to this. So for example, we have here Switzerland, and so they've already defined utility to tokens, right? So not only, so it's not like in the U.S. where okay, something's either a security or a commodity. No, here we've actually got their financial regulator FINMA outlined. There's three types of tokens. There's payment, utility, and asset tokens, and only those asset tokens are things like, I mean, here you can see equity, debt, etc. So the conventional security framework for thinking about tokens, they've actually broken that down further into three types, which is cool to see. So cryptocurrencies, obviously you have payment cryptocurrencies. I assume what this means is these are kind of like stable coins, and things you can transfer that have money value, and not things that are equities. So for example, I guess the distinction here would be like a Binance coin, right? BNB, versus strictly speaking like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Again, hybrid tokens are also possible, so maybe they fall into both categories, right? But the whole point of this is to say that it's really cool that there's jurisdictions that are thinking about, that are forward thinking with regards to tokenization, right? They recognize that this, at the end of the day, all a token is, it's just a piece of information tracking something, and they've gone ahead and reflected that. So if you wanted to incorporate a DAO or whatever, a company that uses, instead of shares, it uses tokens, you could give your token specific properties under this framework to make them classify as either obviously utility, payment, or asset. So that's kind of cool. Europe, here we can see that again there's kind of a recognition from I guess a number of European regulators that there is a specific type of subset of token that's not a regulatable financial asset, and that do they're access tokens. So memberships and stuff like this, voting shares without promise of future profit. So this is all to say that the concepts are getting refined and recognized by regulators as time goes on, which is really cool to see. And again, the whole hope of this document, which I'm going to share with you guys, so that we can feel free to add to it whenever you want. The whole point of it is that we get kind of a if not a comprehensive, but like a good overview of how each specific regulator looks at tokens, and if they have come up with like a more robust version, robust set of concepts around them. Cayman Islands, so BST, provide access again. So these are all jurisdictions that have recognized the concept of utility within tokens. Again, in the U.S., don't really have that. Same in Japan and a bunch of other like quote unquote crypto-friendly jurisdictions. Like I know Canada, for example, also doesn't really have utility tokens. But again, the fact that this exists out there somewhere is a really good sign, because it means that regulators are thinking about it, and hopefully it'll reach our shores soon enough. So I'm going to add this to you guys, and then maybe if you want, you can put in your jurisdiction, your local jurisdiction here, and talk about, this is the regulator first off, and then these are the kinds of properties that are recognized by that regulator, and maybe different classifications that a token could fall under given those properties. So it's a really cool, something to think about going forward, because the majority of the questions we get on LexDAO are usually around securities laws, specifically U.S. security law, and I know that obviously the U.S. is very flexible in that respect, But there are other jurisdictions where you could start thinking about incorporating and making maybe that portion of something worthwhile. And then the other piece of this I wanted to touch was this. So this is a document that I worked on a while ago. It's basically, I mean, it's exactly what it says here. It's an overview chart for different kinds of crypto, different kinds of jurisdictions that recognize crypto exchanges and ICOs. This is really cool because it'll let you go look at countries you might be thinking about incorporating in if you're trying to do like an ICO or if you're trying to do a DAO or anything like that. And depending on the features, the regulatory features that jurisdiction has, you're obviously going to want to go to one place over another. For example, Estonia has a new crypto amendment coming really soon that looks at specific, it looks at all of these things that we've talked about, right? They look at DAOs, they look at, crypto specifically, they look at tokens, utility, and all that kind of stuff. And so if you have a choice, oh, sorry, I got the baby going in the back. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, so I mean, these are all options. I can make this available also for the Legal Aid Clinic. I think this is a really good resource to start off with, because again, we're talking about the internet, so there's no reason why, if a company is making it available to you, sorry, if a country is making it available to you, you can't just go ahead and incorporate a company there digitally, to do things like have a head of liability for your DAO, or have some clarity around things like ICOs and stuff like that. Because I know one of the big problems for people who want to get started in the space is obviously like it's that U.S. regulatory regime, which is very it's kind of very strict, set in its ways. It's not very innovative with regards to the Web3 stuff. But a lot of these places are. So, and they're cheap too. They're much cheaper than working in the US. So for example, if you're trying to do a, let's just take, some of these places, by the way, I went through and I actually said I would not recommend them either as an exchange location, because I mean, this is for a project specifically regarding like a crypto exchange. But it applies overall to anything related to cryptos. So like I would not go to the UAE, because again you're looking at a lot of costs. You're looking at a pretty damn strict regulator with regards to the finances of the company. That again, it's just a lot of clarity in this document with regards to like what actual steps do I need to take to operate a thing in a place, basically. And USA, we've got the classic CFTC or the SEC, and then you've got all these. This is kind of like a regulatory regime there. So it's all on here. Caymans, which is one of the good places. See, so here we go. Viable destination for an ICO of any kind. And by ICO, guys, it's not. This isn't just okay. Well, I'm just trying to raise money through some random crypto scheme. ICO is really for regulatory purposes. An ICO is just anytime you print. Anytime you print or mint rather a token, and you want that token to have certain properties, usually financial ones. So it's not necessarily the case that like every time you see ICO you think, okay, well these guys are just they're just trying to do trying to raise money for an NFT or something like that. Not necessarily. So the jurisdictional stuff here I wanted to leave up, and I wanted to give people a chance to look at, because I mean it's a lot of in-depth stuff. But when you pair these documents together, right, you can kind of start to see now, okay, well now I can kind of see the use of it, right? Because if we take over some of this info from the Caymans, and we pop it over to here, For example, you can see the KYC AML regulation level of stuff. We can put those links right into the where they're needed or where they're useful with regards to like what's a VST, right, or what's a what's a VAST, virtual asset. Actually, I don't know what the S stands for. Provider, virtual asset something provider, services. Thank you, virtual asset services provider. That's what it is. And so all that stuff is here as well. And we want to create a list basically. So if you want to help out, let me know. I'll provide you the links to that shortly. And then I think that's about it for this now. Unless Golden, I mean, if she were here, I'm sure she would have some specific topics she wanted to broach. But I'm not really privy to what she wanted to come out of this. So hopefully next week we can tackle this in a little bit more detail, and people have added on some jurisdictions to that. But again, in combination, when you take both of these things, you have kind of a really solid view. For example, if you're trying to set up a DAO, of where you should do it and what features you can include in your tokens to make that happen, right? And that's what we're trying to do, right? Just trying to give you guys the tools to go out and study and actually do these things. So is there any questions on this document or the token concept document generally?
Just a comment, for the US-based stuff, I actually did a lot of research into this last summer. Nice. And so I can pull some of the stuff that I did for work. Like Westlaw has actually a surprising amount of slightly outdated information that breaks down the US regulatory regime. Like with all the different like SEC, CFTC, FinCEN, all those requirements, they actually have quite a bit of information. So I can pull that and put it into the document too.
Yeah, by all means. Like if any of you have experience in securities, obviously this is all very helpful. Feel free to just jump right in, tweak whatever you want. I'll for now I'll leave the permissions for commenting, so I can just approve it so that there's no trolling happening. Not that you guys would do that, but just to keep it neat. But I mean, yeah, again, like you can see here, like there's a ton of useful links. So if you're trying to figure out like how to set up a compliance regime for your whatever, for your security, then you can go right here and say, okay, well, what kind of money service business am I, and then determine that. Any other questions with regards to jurisdictions, like what who has the leanest regulations, who has the thickest regulations?
Andres, I have a question about the countries you were picking in this paper that you made. Is there any reason why you didn't pick some of the countries that are using crypto a lot more? And I'm thinking specifically that comes to mind is like South American countries like Argentina or something. And looking up there, it was just hard to find that information.
So it's not necessarily that it's hard to find the information. I was more of the mind that so in order for any of these things to get off the ground, to have a functional DAO or an exchange or an ICO, any of that, you need to be able to run a digital business properly. You need to be able to have a pretty comprehensive, the regulator for that jurisdiction needs to be able to have a regime in place for not just enforcement, but for filing documents, for representing the company digitally and all of this kind of stuff. And a lot of South American jurisdictions just don't have that. For whatever reason, I mean, with the exception of maybe a couple of the more tech forward ones like El Salvador, and maybe Colombia, but there's no real, for example, if I take you to Estonia's regulator's website, I'll show you. You can literally go, where is it? You can literally go to the Estonia regulator site and create an e-resident profile for a company. So look at all this. You can literally launch this, get an e-residency card to represent your company. You don't have to, you don't have to be a member, citizen of the country. You don't have to worry about things like creating a tax ID or any of that. It's all rolled into one specific type of designation. So I mean, you could read more about it here if you guys want. The links are all on there. But that's usually why. Like if a country's not on here, either it's very possible I missed it because this document is a couple months old. So it's very possible that there's more tools now available. But it's usually that's usually why I didn't include them, because they're missing a lot of the stuff that would make it really easy to start and run a company there. Like usually they have citizenship requirements. They have like in-person signing requirements for a lot of things. They have there's just a lot of obstacles to starting a company in many places. It's very like Japan, for example, was one of the companies I picked because somebody told me initially that it was very crypto friendly, and then after going through all of the regulations, I actually found out that it was incredibly bureaucratic, extremely expensive to operate in. All of their processes were very very slow, and had high estimated wait times, and they had very very little by way of like digital tools to manage your company. Um, in a jurisdictional space, you actually had to go find a Japanese lawyer, who then had to go to the corporate registry, wherever the hell that is, and like file documents there. So like it's not countries are not created equal in with regards to their digital processes, and that's why I made the list the way it is, if that makes sense.
Thanks for explaining, man.
Yeah, and maybe just to add something else, but yeah, along the lines of what Andres was saying, that yeah, effectively in most countries in Latin America, we don't really have actual crypto regulation. Like in my country, I'm from Peru. We treat cryptocurrencies as intangible personal property, so like you don't even pay taxes for it. And I think in Argentina, it's kind of a similar scenario. They don't have actual regulation for it, but for example, for centralized exchanges, you do have to have like KYC and AML. Same over here, but it's nothing
Yeah.
more beyond that, you know?
Yeah, totally. And so, yeah, exactly. So these are countries that have thought about blockchain proper, you know, blockchain secured property. I guess I hesitate to call them all tokens because they, there's different layers to this. So yeah, one really cool thing. I mean, again, I'm always open. Obviously, this is an open document. I'm always open to actually hold on. I should share it to begin with. So there it is, and there it is. So those are the two docs. And then I'm gonna change the sharing permission. Okay, that's fine actually. Okay. So obviously I'm open to people adding their countries in here, and obviously this is by no means comprehensive. It's just kind of a good starting point. If you don't, if you're looking for a one place solution to a lot of this stuff. And again, obviously, if you find mistakes, fix them. I'm not, I'm a human being. I'm not a robot, despite what my schedule says. Um, but yeah, if anybody has any more questions on that and how you can contribute, let me know. Just DM me, and we'll figure that out off air. One more thing as well I wanted to touch on before we call it quits. Let me see if I remember here. Oh yeah, I'm looking for I need somebody to help me out with so I'm creating basically a library for LexDAO through Study Group. Now that we have a bit of funding, we have an actual Google Drive, and I wanted to make not just for all the video recordings and whatnot, but I'm also going to start collating all of the academic articles, case law, and legally interesting things like that into basically a little Wikipedia page on Google Drive, like a little wiki. And so I kind of I have a ton of articles already, like I have a shitload of content, and I have a format for them to go in. But again, I need somebody to help me out with that. And so DM me if you not only do you want to get a bunch of articles, but I'll give you some. I'll give you some if you're working for credit, for example, in LexDAO. I'll put in a good word for you, so you can get that going. And that's about it, to be honest. Unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add something about like sorry if I joined late. I had like a very busy day, but I joined just when you guys were finishing talking about Cali, and I noticed that I think Luis Miranda had some questions about like the legal structures and stuff, and how it would be like in our jurisdictions, in civil law jurisdictions. And the thing is like the whole idea of having a legal wrapper is to, or at least that's my take on this, to avoid legal liability for the members of the DAO, right? Because if you don't have one, it, at least like in the States, correct me if I'm wrong, it would be a general partnership. So there's like a shared liability between members of the DAO, which Luis, in I think in Mexico, I think you mentioned once that you were from Mexico. I don't know if you're still there.
Yes, I am from
Yeah,
Mexico.
I think it would be a sociedad colectiva, something like that. So that like each member is legally liable. So that's why you want all these legal wrappers to have like an LLC or whatever to
Yeah, a
avoid
liability
that.
pass-through entity,
Uh,
basically, so that liability gets split either to the corporate entity or to the individual member. You know what I mean? That gave rise to the actions that are.
Yeah,
yes, well, I mean this. I mean this is something that it's been discussed in Mexico about the legal liability of administrators or different types of companies. For example, in this case, this DAO LLC, right? So sociedad colectiva. I don't know where you're from, but this is not a type of corporation here in Mexico. I don't know. I mean, can you explain a little bit more about that?
well, I think it's kind of like a sociedad anónima. You do have that in Mexico.
Yeah,
I mean, like we could talk this later. I don't want to take time from anybody.
yeah, no, yeah,
Uh,
sure.
but
We can just DM me and we
yeah,
can
yeah,
discuss this. Yeah,
because it's a very interesting topic, but
yeah,
there's
it's
a
an
lot.
interest topic, and maybe under the civil legislation, it's something that it's it's kind of different from the common law legislations. So yeah, basically we can discuss this. Just DM
Yeah,
me and we can discuss this.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, we need more civil law resources because the majority, obviously, of our lawyers here are from North America, Canada, and Western Europe. So most of it is common law stuff. But I mean, more than half of Europe uses the civil law system, right? And obviously South America does as well. So it's the world is pretty much split. I would actually say the civil law system is used by more countries than the common law system, to be honest. But it's split pretty evenly, and so we got to represent that civil law side. Because I don't know shit about it, to be honest. I would love to pick your brains about those topics.
And that could be a good place for if people want to get involved in Kali. Uh, uh, it seems like Kali has done a all right job dealing with common law, but we haven't really delved into civil law yet. So if there's a branch of Kali that figures out the different legal entities for the civil, and then we could even make Kali kind of clear. So are you in a civil jurisdiction or a common jurisdiction? I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but it does seem like it's a very important distinction.
Yeah, it's a significant portion of the legal market, right? It's like it's 55 to 60% of it, so we have to address it.
And also, like in the third world countries, there's a lot of informality. Like people don't usually constitute their companies, so it was just like no, do you say constitute or incorporate their companies? So this would make it easier. And also, I think in Kali you can upload your own legal document, so people could just do that, right?
Yeah,
I think you can, right?
Yeah. It makes templates for you, but you can also just replace them with your own internal docs.
Yeah, it would be cool to get some docs from other jurisdictions. I think I'll look around for that.
Yeah, because the really cool thing about Cali is, I mean, we pointed this out before, but it gives you the ability to tie all of the blockchain governance side stuff to the legal side. And yeah, I'm super interested to see what a civil, I'm fluent in Spanish, so just feel free to throw me a couple of
Really?
Yeah, I'm Cuban, so.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yo le hemos hablado muchas veces sobre este tópico, so me interesaría mucho
Nice.
ese recurso.
Buenísimo. Okay, that's cool.
Okie doke. I think that's it, guys. To be honest, happy Friday. Stay safe out there. Don't look at your portfolios. We're entering a recession. Remember to hodl. don't be refreshing your finance accounts every day. It's not good for your mental health. And other than that, just we'll see you all next week. Hopefully, we can go into a bit more depth. I'd love to touch on the civil law concepts.
Yeah.
So let's.
We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really cool that Latin America communities are coming here, right? So yeah, we'll discuss this.
Well, it's about damn time, to be honest with you. It's been around for a while, so let's light a fire under. Let's light some fires under some asses and get some work done in those jurisdictions as well, because obviously these are third world countries and developing countries and people who have historically been marginalized by these large financial institutions. They're the ones who are going to benefit the most from this education and these resources. So obviously the more we can do to enable that, the better. So we'll be in touch. Thanks, guys, and that's it for this week.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for organizing.
See you guys.
See you guys next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.